5:30, CBS News has learned ICE has temporarily suspended most vehicle stops during immigration enforcement operations nationwide.
The change follows two deadly shootings in 1 week, first in Houston and then in Maine.
Sources say the pause will allow for additional training on those vehicle stop tactics. In both cases, the men who were killed were not the intended targets of the operations.
The temporary policy change comes as pressure grows for Homeland Security officials to publicly address both shootings and explain how these operations are being carried out. Ron Trevino spoke with CBS News Homeland Security and Justice correspondent Nicole Skanga about what she's hearing from her sources in Washington.
Now that ICE has been instructed to immediately suspend most vehicle stops during immigration enforcement operations, we want to take a step back, look at the bigger picture of what this policy change means. CBS News Homeland Security and Justice correspondent Nicole Skanga joins us now. Nicole, you were one of the first people notified about this policy shift. Is this temporary pause simply about retraining officers, or are officials up in Washington debating broader changes to how ICE carries out these operations?
Ron, good to be with you. This is most definitely a reset. We have now seen two fatal encounters at the hands of federal immigration agents in as many weeks. And in both cases, those killed were not the intended targets. So we know that vehicle stops are dangerous, that they are increasingly common among ICE as the administration aims to arrest upwards of 2,000 undocumented migrants per day. ERO, enforcement and removal operations officers, often conduct surveillance, meaning they wait for a target to leave and then attempt an arrest in a public place, sometimes through a vehicle stop. And that's what happened in both cases here. But sources say that legal and operational constraints are part of the reason these vehicle stops have become a prevalent enforcement tactic and a riskier one, which is the reason why the decision was made to take a temporary pause.
And so this policy shift, what does it tell us about how officials in Washington are viewing these incidents?
Yeah, well, right now it is a temporary pause, but the directive does apply to all ICE enforcement and removal operations. So everyone within the division responsible for civil immigration arrests and removals, not Homeland Security investigations, which handles criminal investigations. But again, I'm told that this is a pause while ERO officers receive additional training on vehicle stop tactics. Now, it remains to be seen exactly what that training looks like. Sources tell me it could become a more permanent fixture for training ICE officials. But in the interim, these ERO officers can only participate in operations involving vehicle stops when they are working with partner local law enforcement agencies, and only when they are targeting criminal suspects who are the subject of judicial warrants. So in plain English, that means only when a judge has signed off on a criminal arrest, not simply a civil immigration violation.
What are members of Congress saying about the way ICE is conducting business right now?
Yeah, well, members of Congress are understandably, particularly on the Democratic side, demanding changes within tactics and also the way in which we see ICE and CBP carry out the written law. Now, we have also definitely seen a different approach by this administration and this Secretary of Homeland Security that has sought to lower the temperature within one of the most contentious departments in the United States government, the Department of Homeland Security. But I will say it is notable that we are now more than 30 hours out from this incident, and we have not yet heard from Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. He has not addressed either what occurred in Houston or what occurred now in Biddeford, Maine publicly, nor have we heard from anyone within ICE leadership. So I think you are hearing more calls from Congress, for leadership here. Even yesterday, it took nearly 12 hours for DHS to issue a statement clarifying some of the details surrounding the fatal incident in Biddeford, Maine. That said, we do expect the secretary to join President Trump at his speech to the nation on Thursday night. And in the meantime, it's probably worth pointing out that we have not seen major bipartisan immigration reform since the Reagan administration. So a lot of outspoken members of Congress, not a ton of action on Capitol Hill to reform what I think folks on both sides of the aisle have for decades acknowledged is a broken immigration system, Ron.
All right, thank you so much, Nicole Scanga with CBS News. Thank you again for joining us.
And our thanks to Ron Trevino. Stay with KHU 11 News on air and on the app for the very latest on this story.